Hi, I'm Will Doherty, and I'm at the moment. The biggest focus for us at the Trade Desk is making sure that we have access to the world's best content and that we can take that premium content environment and make sure that it gets its absolute fair share of credit. I don't think I've ever managed my career as if it was a career. I've always just sort of whatever I was doing, that was the most important thing I was doing. That had 100% of my focus. I never really thought about what came after or how to take one step into another step. Just kind of really focused on whatever it was I was working on and then saw it all the way to its conclusion, and then I went and did something else. It's the only way I can describe how I went from selling vitamins to mom and pop grocery stores to working in digital media. For 2026, probably the biggest focus for us at the Trade Desk is making sure that we have access to the world's best content and that we can take that premium content environment and make sure that it gets its absolute fair share of credit for the impact that it has on consumers and purchase and the entire funnel. Far too often we think that the world's best content is not getting appropriate credit for the impact that it has on consumers, for driving favorability, for brands. And so when we can connect those two, the best content in the world to the impact that it's having on consumers, we're delivering unbelievable value for our clients. One of the biggest things that we can do with our clients is helping them go from multi-channel to omni-channel. What I mean by that is making sure that they break out of a very siloed approach to how they deploy their media budgets. So no longer thinking about this is how much budget I've allocated for CTV, this is how much for audio, this is how much for digital out of home, but thinking holistically about how they're going to reach their consumers across each of those channels and do it in a holistic way that allows them to be flexible across format, across channel, and have the biggest impact possible, and make sure that they're creating the right awareness and favorability and drive to purchase by leveraging a fully omni-channel approach. Because the barriers to entry for content are so low, where distribution for some forms of content have become so easy and less challenging, that I don't believe that people fully appreciate the impact of how their brand shows up from an ad experience standpoint. It really matters the kind of content that you advertise around. It really matters about the ad experience itself, the ad load. So we can have all the data in the world, but if we don't give that message in the right environment against the right content in a way that's highly relevant, if we don't get that part right, all the scale in the world, all the data in the world won't help you tell a better story or be a better or more effective marketer. Watching a lot of it, I'd say probably the standard binges, whether it's The Pit or Industry. I usually have one of the older shows that I go back to that's been around for a while. So I've done Breaking Bad a few times, but now that I live out in the New Jersey suburbs, Sopranos tends to hit a bit harder than it did in the past. So that gets often rerun quite a bit in my house. Probably two things. Don't take yourself so seriously, and just worry about controlling what you can control. Just keep your focus and your energy on the things where you can actually have an impact. Don't project out onto the things that you don't have a lot of control on. And then while you're doing all this, just try to have a lot of fun. It goes by really fast.